Dar prieš susiformuojant kompiuterinių žaidimų taisyklėms, Teksase dirbusi maža komanda kūrė naują skaitmeninę realybę. Vėliau ši komanda tapo žinoma kaip id Software. Vienas iš jos narių yra Tom Hall, Doom, Wolfenstein 3D ir Commander Keen bendraautorius. Jis prisidėjo prie pirmojo asmens šaudyklės žanro formavimo, modernių žaidimų struktūros kūrimo ir sukūrė novatorišką Anachronox. Šiandien su Tom Hall mes kalbamės apie kūrybą, tvarkos ir chaoso santykį bei ilgalaikių virtualių pasaulių kūrimą.
So, first of all, it's always a big pleasure to be talking to you, so thank you for that, and also thank you for your talks yesterday and before that. It was amazing and very interesting, of course.
Oh, thank you.
And already coming to the questions, we'll start with maybe an easy one, or maybe not, I don't know. So, do you think making games gets easier with experience, or do you lose some of that reckless spark that made the early ones possible?
Well, I think when you start making games professionally, some of that just manic joy, of just like, I can make a thing and people can play it and it's cool and it's exactly what I wanted to do, can go out of it, but it's still amazing. I mean, I've been doing it for 38 years, so it's not like I don't love it. And it's just like, that's why I make little games in Pico 8, so occasionally I can just, make a thing and have, total control over it, and I can finish it when I want. And games are subject to the vagaries of business and, like compromise and schedules and constraints like that, and budgets. So, I mean, it's, as you get older though, you get more familiar with the process and have so much experience at it that you can like head off a lot of the big problems that you had to painfully learn in the first half of your career and then sort of fix them later, so it's kind of a balance.
Okay. What's the smallest design decision that ever made you unexpectedly proud?
Oh, the smallest design decision oh my gosh, that's a huge question. Let me see. Well, let me name a couple of them so I can think of others while I'm going. I really liked pulling off shadows in Commander Keen Episode 2 because it was just, like bad graphics, but it actually looked like it had dimension. It was really cool. And then I thought it was clever in Anachronox to make the cursor, the 3D cursor in the world, actually a character and someone that you could talk to and so on. And as well as a planet you visit that had amazing advanced technologies no one's seen before, you help them out, and then later they shrink themselves down, the whole planet, and join the party. Those things are kind of fun. They're just like something that really blows the mind of the player, and it's really fun. Also in VR, I worked on social space for the game Demeo and figured out how you can just sort of in VR go grab a joystick on an arcade machine and go into arcade mode and then let go and you're out. It was kind of elegant. So things like that. I'm sure there's tons of other ones, but that's what I think of now.
Okay, thank you. Also, you often talked about design bibles and vision documents. So what is an idea from one of those that never made it into a game but still haunts you?
Oh, well, although I do kind of reuse ideas. So like working on Doom, and we didn't have time or desire to put like 4 characters with different attributes in Doom, so that wound up in Rise of the Triad. And I was working on Prey, and I had sort of this set of primary attributes and then combinations of those 2 attributes, and that was in Prey, early Prey, and that wound up in Anachronox, so I kind of tend to like keep my favorite ideas going and like well, I kind of really want to use that one. But there are still, I'm sure, tons of ideas that are just kind of rolling, and I have like huge like files of ideas and a note on my phone that's got like tons of ideas that they're just waiting for their time to happen. I think Paul Simon has like a little notebook of just phrases, and then he'll go back through that and go like, diamonds on the soles of her shoes, that's weird, let's make a song about that. Yeah, that kind of thing.
Okay, but also that will be a kind of funny maybe question or even stupid, but I wanted to ask. You're almost 40 years in the game dev.
Yeah.
So do you ever dream the dreams in game logic?
Oh,
Does that
yeah.
happen?
Well, I mean, people that first played Doom said they had Doom dreams. Yeah, but yeah, like dreams and like the hypnagogic state, going to sleep and waking up, are good places for ideas because your rule set is turned off. You know, you're not like applying normal daily rules to stuff. So you can make those crazy combos of things, you know, and just like, what does that mean? But sometimes they're brilliant and they wound up in games. And then sometimes it's just like coach on the sideline using a megaphone to call plays to a quarterback on the field. It's like, why did I write that down? I thought that was so brilliant, and I had somehow made this hilarious joke in the middle of my sleep, and I wrote it down. You know, I have a pad everywhere I could make ideas, like in the toilet, in the shower, and driving, when I'm able to use my hands on my phone or something. But yeah, they just come all the time in those little in between spaces that I call drift time. Yeah.
Okay, also, after the intensity of Doom, Anachronox felt like a complete emotional flip. I mean, humor, sadness, and that sense of cosmic loneliness. So, what is the fondest memory to you personally when you think back on making Anachronox?
On making Anachronox, a lot of it was making it with that team. We really became kind of like war buddies because like we were the last year and 3 months of that project was death crunch. It was 7 days a week, like 15 hours a day, and just endless work. And just because we had the hubris that 15 people could make a Final Fantasy size game, which was crazy. But I really liked working with that team and just making the characters come to life because I had laid out the world and the story. But the team really made them kind of come to life, you know, visually and through words and through like the brilliant coding and stuff. So, and the amazing art. So I really like we try to meet at GDC every year when we can, you know, or we meet each other in other cities. I just tried to meet up with my friend Henrik from the team at the Dublin airport. We missed each other, but you know, we have that love, you know, that have gone through an intense experience and made something we really cared about.
Okay. Also, you mixed slapstick and tragedy in Anachronox long before games were ready for that.
Yeah.
Some at least think that. Do you think we have similar examples of games today, like Anachronox was that, and did the medium catch up?
Yeah, well, I mean, I think that maybe that's the problem is like I can see it in my head. So like for the original Doom, I was, you know, like, you know, crafting like, you know, a movie like story and imagining a universe, and I wish, you know, that version of Doom could have been used for the movies, for example, because it was actual story ready that fit in the universe. But I don't know. It's I have to go back to the question again.
I was asking more about Anachronox. Was some people say it's?
Okay. Maybe we'll cut that first one. No. Yeah. So Anachronox itself, yeah. I mean, I loved like Hitchhiker's Guide and the way it sort of like, you know, took all the tropes of science fiction and made fun of them. And so I wanted to do that for, you know, lots of other things like RPGs. Like you'll go into somebody's apartment and just open a chest in their apartment and we teleport someone behind you. And so you turn around, it's like, what are you doing in my apartment? You're stealing. You know, like, oh yeah, thought this was an RPG. That was okay, you know. But yeah, so like for Doom, I was kind of doing that early, and for Anachronox, you know, I had this epic dream. We even made Anachronox the functional way Anachronox works, so it could have been a massively multiplayer online game. You know, it could have been an MMOG. Because the way that you travel from a sender to another place and stuff like that, I could have sharded out and stuff. So I'm always kind of thinking of like, you know, the bigger version of what something could be. And today, you know, we have, you know, Tim Schafer's awesome games. I mean, I was inspired by Secret of Monkey Island, Day of the Tentacle, you know, like those are just fantastic, funny games. And, you know, Ron Gilbert, you know, they're all making just like hilarious games, and there's other examples. I mean, we have a example from Lithuania right here, even Fall Flat. It's just like, it's just, I mean, it's not like a story version of that, but it's just hilarious, you know, and I appreciate like bringing a sense of humor because that's what I grew up with. You know? So I love this thing.
I see. Okay. Also, does success makes you cautious or does it make you bolder?
I think if you constantly pursue what makes you successful, that can make you cautious. But if you do what you think you need to do, whether that's successful or not, then that makes you bolder. Yeah.
Okay. Good.
Not to say that I'm just this grand success. It's a roller coaster in this industry. I mean, it's been very hard to stay in the industry 38 years. Right? The last 2 years were the most brutal it's ever been. So it's a crazy industry, but if you have to do it, you have to do it. You know?
I see. I see. Also, what did your team dynamics at id Tech at id teach you about friendship under pressure?
Well, yeah, I think early in it was basically just we were happy to be friends that all love the same things, getting to make games. That was just an impossible dream. Like, wow, I actually get to make real games with, you know, other people, and it was just fun to like, you know, hang out with your friends. So that made it okay to work, you know, 15 hours a day because you were essentially working and then, you know, working and playing at night kind of, but you know, you're bonding all the time. So that was really fantastic. I think as it went on, like pressure started getting really intense and like not having a life kind of like became more obvious. And I think we weren't the best at communicating, you know, like, because we were a bunch of nerds, so we're not like skilled communicators or anything. We're probably the opposite of that. So that caused some frictions and so on. But I think we were all like really respectful of like each other's talents, and it was great to have 4 people that could just say, here's what we want to do. I can obviously do this, you do this, you do this, you do this, and we just go off and then kind of meet together, and that saved a lot of, there's just like an unwritten language after a while. It was amazing.
Okay. Last 2 questions. If the young developers you mentor today could inherit one value from that 90s energy, what should it be?
Make something that is pushing the boundaries, like adds to the conversation of gaming. Like, don't just make, this is my WoW with the cool weapon I wanted to make. That they already made that, you know, that's not really adding to the conversation. Like, you know, make something like Minute or Baba Is You, make something that just like, oh, I finally have an idea that it has not been done before at all. And like, I'm really like, have a chance to make something great, or at least something that adds to like what the fabric of gaming, you know, even if it's not a success, like maybe that will inspire someone else, and then gaming is better for what you did.
And the last one is, do you think you could ever build another Doom moment in today's internet noise world where everything is so fast?
I mean, Doom moment, I mean, it has to be something that radically innovative. But I mean, Doom was our 5th first-person shooter, sort of. I mean, it's really kind of like the 3rd one that existed. But it would, I mean, there's always new technologies, right? Like VR and AR came out, and once AR gets, you know, sized down, maybe that'll be like the Doom of, you know, playing the world, you know. But right now, they've had like small versions of that, but it's not like something that just changes the way you think about things, like it kind of blows doors open. But it's always possible because things are always changing and evolving, and new technologies come out, and that's what we were at the forefront of. And just like, what's the cutting edge thing that we could kind of cheat a little bit to get a 3D look to something and make it fast. So I mean, it's completely possible. There's a lot of noise out there, but there's not a lot of noise at the edge of technology.
Okay, so thank you very much.
Yeah.
It was a pleasure.
Thank you. Thank you.